Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about the victory of the Gen Z population in India. The student protesters over Prime Minister Modi's intransigence and arrogance is a significant development in India's politics. It is indeed a big deal, and I will try to highlight some of the reasons why this is a major victory for democracy over an increasingly authoritarian regime in India. So basically, what has happened is that India has a series of exams, which are national exams, which students have to take these exams, and based on their rankings, they get admitted to medical schools and other professional colleges. Even public service positions are based on exams. So these entrance exams are very critical, and in the past few years, there have been many of them which have been leaked, and thereby upsetting the rhythm and the schedules and lives of many Indian students. For a country with a lot of ambition and a lot of aspirations, there are very few opportunities, unfortunately, for the young people. And so when they fail to succeed in these exams for whatever reason, they become victims of despair and hopelessness. And in the past few years, especially under the Modi government, the number of suicides by Indian students has risen by 80%. So in 2014, there were 8,000 suicides by students, and in 2024, the data that we have for it was over 14,000 people. 14,000 students committed suicide. That tells you about the widespread sense of hopelessness among the youth. And this is while India's narrative of being the fastest growing economy and a great power was being parroted by the government, and also uncritically, shall we say, magnified by what is now in India called the Godi media, the mainstream media, which rather than being critical of the government and fact-checking the government, continues to act like cheerleaders of the Hindu nationalist government. So this achievement by the students, that they put enough pressure on Prime Minister Modi in order to make him backtrack from everything that they had asserted. For example, the main demand by the students was that the education minister must resign. And the Prime Minister obviously refused that. The government refused to do that. There is this famous quote by Rajnath Singh, the current defense minister, that ministers in this government do not resign. Of course, it is a denial of accountability, that there has been failure after failure after failure, and yet the government will not acknowledge. The government and its media supporters went on a demonizing narrative, launched a massive narrative against the protesters, called them terrorists, called them the B team of the terrorists, called them funded by foreign countries, etc., and that this is triggered by the deep state in the United States trying to perpetuate a regime change, as to referring to what happened in Bangladesh and Nepal. The Ministry of External Affairs has denied, India's ministry has denied that there has been any foreign hand or foreign funding of this protest. It's purely indigenous Indian students rising up against the Modi government because of the failure of the government to provide a clean education system which is transparent and corruption free. This is the immediate story. After people protested for several weeks, Sonam Wangchuk, a very prominent activists, went on a hunger strike, and as these protests began to spread, especially after the government tried to suppress it in two ways. One, by demonizing them as foreign agents, as terrorists, etc. I mean, the vile language that was being used by the Modi government is shocking, and of course there will be no accountability. These guys are just get away by inciting violence and hatred against everybody. The same toolkit which is used to demonize minorities and Muslims in India was unleashed on these students. But the brutal actions of the Delhi police, they used pellet guns, they used water cannons, and then they used sticks to beat extremely brutally young, literally they are children, some of them are 16-year-old, and they were beaten so brutally. Women were slapped and all kinds of brutality, which is on camera, which the whole country was seeing, that led to the spread of these protests in other places. So when Prime Minister Modi realized that it was spreading and was becoming a national movement, he completely surrendered to the Cockroach Janata Party. The Minister for Education resigned, and the government met with the student leadership and agreed to all their conditions. Their conditions were that the minister must resign. He did. Their conditions were all the cases that were filed against protesters should be withdrawn. That were withdrawn. They wanted remuneration, some compensation for the families of the 22 or 21 young children who committed suicide as a result of the failure of the examination system. Modi agreed to that too. He also agreed to meet with them and work on reform of the exam system. And he subsequently announced a new minister for education and a task force to essentially address the demands of the Cockroach Janata Party and the Indian student protesters. So it's clearly a major political win, a resounding political win for the students. This is particularly important because we have witnessed such protests in the past, and we have seen that the Modi government will simply not back down. It just does not respond to any political pressure. We have seen the protests in Shaheen Bagh when the government launched the NRC and Citizenship Amendment Act. So at that time, we saw women protesting for weeks, and that protest sort of dwindled out because of COVID. But the government, even though it did withdraw NRC nationally, but it has tried to do the same things in alternative ways. They have come up with a new project called SIR. So it basically disenfranchises minorities and also kind of treats them as non-citizens. But then there was a farmers' protest which lasted for nearly a year and a half, and the government really did not fulfill any of the promises that it made and would initially not even entertain any discussion with the protesters. But they did this time. That's why it's a big deal that this government, which is profoundly arrogant, it thinks it cannot lose its elections because its electoral victories are not essentially premised on its success as a good governance body. Their elections are premised on their Hindu nationalism, their promise to revive the Hindu civilization and make it dominant all over the world. Now when the Prime Minister travels, like his recent trip to Indonesia, he called it civilizational diplomacy, which is promoting and reviving Hindu nationalism, Hindu temples in these countries, and of course a systematic demonization and disenfranchisement of religious minorities, whether they are Muslims, Sikhs or Christians, at home. This is the main agenda of this party. This is its identity. And this is why it wins its elections, because a large segment of the Indian population has been radicalized, and they're just obsessed with hatred for religious minorities. And that is why it was winning the elections. So what this Cockroach Janata Party has done is for the first time succeeded in uniting Indians of a particular generation, the Gen Z, across religious boundaries. So the Hindu-Muslim divide did not work this time, even though some people in the national media tried to make it Hindu-Muslim. They tried to say it was the Pakistanis who were instigating this, etc. So the first deal was they forced Modi government, and so it was a victory of democracy over arrogance. The second victory was that it completely undermined the fault lines that the Modi government has been exploiting for decades and winning elections with, especially the Hindu-Muslim divide. This protest was somehow bulletproof against the Hindu-Muslim divide. The third thing is that it's important because it has a demonstration effect. Now it has told those people who are in the opposition as to how to fight back against Modi. The BJP controls the media, controls the judiciary, controls the police force, and has corrupted the election commission. And so India's elections are no more fair at all. After the shock in 2024 national elections, where the Modi government was thinking it would win 400 out of 545 seats in the parliament. It barely won 240, did not even get a majority. The Modi government also specializes in manipulating other parties and stealing their election winners after the elections. And they did the same thing. They told regional parties in Bihar and Andhra Pradesh that we will give you special funding. So they offered a lot of money and literally bought the political support of the regional parties in Bihar and Andhra Pradesh and formed a government. It's a coalition government. So it was very clear that this government does not enjoy the mandate of a majority in the country. In fact, the BJP never won even 40% of the vote in any of its elections. It has won 3 elections, and it has always got below 40%. So technically, there are about 60 to 65% people in this country who do not vote for BJP, but they are unable to be united. So what CJP, the Cockroach Janata Party, has done is has shown the rest of the country as to how the opposition can unite against the Hindu nationalist. And I think that should scare the hell out of Modi and his party to a great extent. And of course, no one is talking about this, but it's also a reminder that Modi's charm and his so-called charisma, he has tried to project himself as a god. He even called himself non-biological, you know. And he was like hinting that he was not born of his mother. He probably descended from the sky. You know, I don't know. At the way they seem to be going, they're probably going to declare him as the next avatar of Ram or whatever. But it is pretty clear, especially the anti-Modi slogans, that the young people whose parents had voted for BJP were raising during the protests, clearly says that Modi has lost his touch. What that also means is that members of his own party will now be competing with him for leadership of the party. So now I'm sure there are people in the BJP who think that Modi is no more untouchable. This will also probably have a global impact. So far, Modi has been going around collecting awards, trying to convince his followers that he's the greatest leader in the world. So he goes to a tiny country like Seychelles, whose population is 120,000. There are more people in a cricket stadium in India than in the country of Seychelles. Gives them $75 million in aid and gets an award which is misspelled. And so people in India, his supporters, and especially highly hyped mainstream media, make it look like it is the greatest achievement on earth since I don't know what. So all of that hype building about Narendra Modi and his magic is beginning to fade. And I think that is why the victory of the cockroaches is so significant. Finally, what is also becoming clear is that this India's growth story does not have the same credibility anymore. 14,000 students in 2024 committed suicide. Suicide is a sign of despair and hopelessness. Why are so many young people feeling hopeless? Why do they feel that they don't have a future? And that is the reason why I think, another reason why I think the opposition is going to feel revitalized. And yes, Modi's government is probably going to try to use its only card that they have in the up their sleeve, which is ratchet up hatred towards Muslims. So they are going to go and destroy more mosques. They're going to destroy more. They're even targeting a university, a well-established university, and they're going to try and destroy that to make their constituency happy and hopefully win more elections. So yes, I think things are going to get really ugly in the country because the Modi government is going to unleash violence and discrimination against Muslim minorities in order to win back the Hindu majority vote, which they are losing because of the hopelessness of the young middle class. Don't forget that the protesters, a majority of those protesters were Hindu middle class, educated class, urban class, who find that they have no future and who find that they are betrayed by the system that they have supported. So I think going forward, we are going to see that the impact of, even if the Cockroach Janata Party does not become a party, remains a movement or fizzles out, I think their victory is going to have a significant amount, a political impact on the country. So thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtadar Khan. Take care.